Hey, say you're creating a method called create project. We are a project management tool, so that is a common method for us. What kind of documentation do you want to provide? It creates a project, so is the argument that I know what it does good enough? Or do you need to add some documentation, inline code comments, so someone else understands what creating a project means? I think it's the latter. You don't need to document or add a comment saying this is creating a project because that's obvious from the name, and your naming should be intuitive enough. But beyond that, what does creating a project mean in the context of the product you're working on? Like at Snowpal, we have different types of projects. We have different key types, and one of the key types is a project key. So creating a project means a few things, right? It means you can either, one of the things is you can create a project based on a template because we support a number of templates, or you could create a project which is not based on any template. So this method, does it support template-based project creation, or does it not? What happens after a project is created? Who has the ability to create projects? What kind of security do you need? What kind of authorization do you need to have? So there's a number of things. I'm not saying you document every single thing possible in just that the module header for that method, but I think it's important to give context to the reader as to what project creation actually means. Now you could do it in one of many ways. What I or we tend to do is we add some basic header documentation, and then sorry, this thing keeps popping out. Header documentation, and then when we need additional documentation, we just have a link that points to say InVision if it's or one of the tools that we use for mockups and wireframes. And if it's API documentation, we point it to Apiary, Swagger, one of those things that actually whatever it is that you're using. Or we also use PaperDoc and Dropbox quite a bit. So I add links to documentation that's there. So you have a few lines here. If you need more, you can look someplace else. But that documentation does not run in parallel to your code documentation. Sorry. In other words, what I mean by that is sometimes I've seen documentation that's sitting separately. I'm so sorry, this is silly. I just bought this and it's not working that well. It keeps popping out. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. Okay, I'm not going to take it out now that I started doing it. Oh God, this is hilarious. Okay, I'm going to adjust this, sorry. Yep, so don't create documentation in parallel because it's going to get out of sync very, very quickly, right? Just keep it in line. It could be code comment, it could be inline comments or method level comments or class level comments, however, whatever works for you. But just explain what you can in a few lines. Don't state the obvious. Sometimes I've seen documentation that goes overboard where you have a line, you have a log statement that says it's doing something, and then you have a line of comment that says it's doing the exact same thing. That doesn't make any sense because when the log statement's there, the reader can actually see that, right? So make your judgment, but remember that you, not just for other people who will be joining your team later, even for you, when you look at your own code a few days down the road, if you don't have certain items documented, it's going to become very difficult for you to understand, and you're going to spend cycles trying to read through the code, right? It doesn't mean you write bad code. We all have to try and write great code, right? But as good as we can. So it's not, documentation is not in lieu of good code, but it supplements good code, right? And it's important to write good code because if your product's not good, it's going to be like this mustache that clearly it's brand new and I'm trying it for the first time, it doesn't seem to stick. So, this is not great. But our product should be a whole lot better than this mustache is. If you've not signed up already, go to snowpal.com, just manage your projects. Whatever the project is, manage it, download the app from the App Store and Play Store, and have a good weekend. Thanks.